Hey, what's up guys, it's T-Bone here and welcome back to another episode of playing Legendary Game of Heroes. So I want to start by saying that I actually had made a video for Legend Trials as well as Bounty Dungeon yesterday, and unfortunately when I uploaded it, something went wrong and I wasn't able to get it to render correctly. It kept rendering at 240p, and so it was really unwatchable and I had to take it down. So I apologize for that. So instead, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to have a shortened version of the Legend Trials coverage. Because it is just a preview anyway, I'm going to go into a lot more detail when it's available. And so I think it's good to just use this chance to talk about what to expect and to clear up some questions. I'm going to spend a bit more time with the event preview this time because there's some changes in mechanics as well that I want to go over. And finally, we're going to do a bounty dungeon fight so that we can take a look at how to defeat the celestial levels and what the changes mean for you. So let's get started here. So Legend Trials, the way this works is you have to be able to summon bosses, and there are 5 of them total. You summon the bosses, and then you attack using these prism that is going to be given to you. You can only get 24 max. And then once you get them, once you defeat them, they will drop items. And these items are then used for you to be able to forge various types of cudgels with any affinity that you want. So depending on the defender that you already have, I would recommend going after that particular affinity. So for myself, I use light defenders. So I'm going to be going after these cudgels. They give a set bonus. So collecting all 5 of them will double the ability. And the abilities are different per cudgel. So for example, the Ragnarok one will actually increase 10% attack, and so doubling it would mean 20% increased attack for all of your defenders. And there are a total of 5 of them, and you can see that the thing is you need to have light maul, for example, as one of the ingredients. Now light mauls isn't easy to get, and this really isn't intended to be a very easy to obtain item either. This is really only available if you are a player level 100 or above. And you can't really forge it until you have the maul. So this is something that I think will take a bit longer to go after, and that's the intention. It is something that you work toward. It isn't something you're going to be able to get at the end of next week, for example. One last thing that was pretty confusing to a lot of people is, it seems like you need to have the new legends in order to participate. That is not true. The new legends will give you, additional boosts and also additional benefits, but it is not a requirement. And so in the next episode or the next event, when this actually goes live, we're going to go and talk about what heroes we can use and how we can actually be effective in taking it down. So now let's go into the event. So this is a good segue. Let's go into the event preview now. So you can see here, there is a big change to how this actually now looks. You can see that what we're used to seeing with the 3 different collection heroes plus the support and event and ultra rare cards, it's no longer there. Instead, they're replaced by these empty slots, which are actually slots for runes. And so they've changed the mechanic now for how you can collect a Master 13 card. There's a couple of things to keep in mind. The first one is you can actually now get more than 1 Master Collection card, whereas you couldn't do that before. So now you can actually have multiple copies of this as long as you collect enough of these runes. So you no longer need to actually have a past hero in order to finish a collection, but instead you now need to have these runes. So how do you get the runes? You can get runes in a couple of ways. The first one is by playing through the event. These runes will be available in the collection. Right, so just like how we have the Aegis collections, just by collecting trophies you can obtain items, these runes will be available in the collections so that you can actually get them. And then the second option is to get it through packs. So we can take a look at the event pack right now and see where you can get them. So you can see that the event pack, you can start getting the runes at tier 3, and then tier 5, and then onwards, tier 6, 7, and then all the way through. So once you get these runes, if you can get 6 distinct ones, then you'll be able to get a master collection without anything else. So let's say you don't go after the ultra rare card. Let's say you don't go after, the event card or any of the other cards. You can still get a master collection by meeting that criteria. So in one sense, it's now possible for you to bypass all of that requirement. But on the other hand, you do have to make sure that you can get 6 unique runes in order to craft it. But then when you craft them, you'll be able to then reset the collection, and then you can get another one if you are lucky to get more runes that way. So this is definitely a big change to how things work, and also a big change to how you can get a very powerful hero. So, let me know what your thoughts are. I think that this is an interesting change. I'm still waiting until the event starts before I can really sort of get my handle on how this is. And also, of course, the biggest question that we always ask is, well, how expensive is it going to be? Like, can I obtain this just by playing? And so far, what I've heard, I believe the answer is yes, but there is probably going to be some luck factor as well. So I'm going to try this, and we're going to see how this works out. And what we want to, but the thing that hasn't changed though is that there are also these past heroes that have been boosted to be sort of the 10 times commander to help out with the event, and we can take a look at what they are. So now let's take a look at the actual cards here. So these are the past heroes as well. So Aphrodite is now Summertime Aphrodite, and she is now a water god hero like she was before, but she's changed now to warrior, and she has a new special class. So she's now a special class, but it's a dual class card, so you can actually pair her also with a card that boosts god, which is really good. And so her skill, she 300% damage and health for all water special heroes. So you can expect that there's going to be a special relic that's going to be coming up for this event. And her battle skill adds 10 special intensity and creates 2 water power gem 1s. If there's at least 1 water power gem 2 on the board, creates an additional power gem 1. So this is exactly the same as the Orsank card from the previous light commander event, and so we know how good that card is. And here's a added bonus that it's a god card, so that you can actually increase. You can use other god relics to get the initial gem count. Her passive also creates 1 water power gem 2 in every 3rd match hit. So it's exactly the same as Orsank. So this is an awesome card to have. Definitely you want to have multiple copies of this. It is a great card to use in your arsenal. And then the next one is the Volleying One. It's play on the word for the Fallen One. So let's take a look at him at 6 stars. So again, it's a god attacker card, and it's a special card as well. So the battle skill here attacks for 10,000 attack plus 10,000 for every 25 special intensity. And if there's at least 1 water power gem on the board, it triples the damage. So this is the same thing as Wella, which it was also again from the previous light commander card. And same thing with the passive here. Instead of dying, will survive and generate 1 water power gem 2 for every 50 intensity, and this is for every 50 special intensity. And so you're not going to gain any health back, you're just going to get power gems. And he has a passive that also creates increases special intensity by 5. To be honest, I didn't actually use this card too much in my particular deck for the light deck, but if you have multiple copies of this card, when you die, you can actually generate quite a few copies of the light water power gems, and could be quite useful. It's a very different way to play, so I wouldn't count it out necessarily. And then finally, we have the ultra rare card, Goddess of the Surf. And again, it's another god card. So here it is. We have these god cards that you can use. And so you can pair them up with god cards. And then we'll definitely go through the idea later. And so she is the same as the goblin. So basically, it'll destroy all non-water gems. And then for every 10 gems destroyed, creates 1 water power gem 3. At 6 stars, drops down to for every 5 gems destroyed. And there is also the passive for mimicking the Volleying One, Summertime Aphrodite, and it's going to mimic the Beach Bum Bone Grinder, which is the match collection. So now it will mimic 3 cards, so we can see what that does. Right? So we sort of seen how that works. I can actually show you that particular type of deck if you want, but the mechanic is going to be the same. Now let's talk about the Master Collection card. So this is one of those cards where it doesn't actually, fit in the whole god category, but it is a special card. Okay, so this is a Master Collection card that does the following. It's the same as the Volleying one, but it has a boosted attack. So it's, attacks for 12,000%, and then 12,000 for every 25 special intensity. And it also will quadruple the damage if there's at least one water power gem too. And also it will create power gem 3s for every 50 intensity instead of dying. So it's it's basically an upgrade to the event card. It also has a passive that will increase the special intensity by 7 per turn. Now, given that you can actually have multiple copies of this, would you want it? Well, I can tell you that if you have 5 of these cards, when you die, depending on the amount of intensity, you're going to create a lot of water power gem 3s. And so it also has a it increases intensity by 7. And so with relics and with the increases in the intensity here, it could deal significant damage as well. So like I said, don't count it out necessarily. It's interesting to see what it's going to be like when you have multiple copies of these cards. And so what kind of deck can we build with this in mind? So let's take a look here. Really, I think I've been thinking about it, and one of the ideas I have here is use Freya. If you have Freya, and she's also available in the Dust Shop for at 20 Dust, she's a Water Warrior card, and really she's also a gem spawner. So she creates 2 water gems plus an extra water gem for every 30 God intensity. And so also when you attack, it's going to add additional intensity. So you're going to be able to just generate lots of water gems, which is going to be great if you pair her up with Summertime Aphrodite, who's going to continue to create power gems every 3 turns. So you create the power gems using Aphrodite, and then you use Freya to fill in the rest of the board using her water gems. You're going to deal significant damage here. And so, you can use Freya as a leader, because she will boost God cards, and then you can have maybe 2 Freya and 3 Aphrodite, depending on how you want to set up, depending on the cards you get. I definitely think that going with a very sort of budget deck, absolutely go for as many Aphrodites as you can. If you can get 3, great, and if you can get 5, then you can already just use her for use them for really great damage in this particular event. And also, if you do get the Volleying one or the Master Collection card, then that gives you an additional attack because you get that free revive, right? So I think that this is going to be the best option. And another one really is, I think, Thrall is always a good option, right? So as a commander deck, if you have it, you already know how to use it. I don't need to talk about it. It's old enough that I think at this point, people who have it know how to use it very well. Obviously, it's an option. And also just, if you use Orasang is going to be effective still. It's, it's a command card. It's a neutral event. So it's not going to have a penalty for the damage. And so I think that using this would be good as well. Some other ideas I have, we can take a look. Depends on the actual, let's see here. It doesn't show here, so I'm going to show you in the pack. So what are the other 3 cards that are here? And we can use this right here to see. So you can see it's, the 3 other cards that have boosted is Quack, Saffron, and Takumi. And Takumi actually is not a bad card to have. I talked about this last time. He will boost all water attackers, so it's another option to use as well. But really, I think Quack is the one that's going to be pretty useful because he's a gem destroyer. So he can actually destroy the gems just like the Ultra Master Card Collection, but it just doesn't create power gems when it does it. So if you're lacking a gem destroyer, Quack is going to be a great option for you to pair up with, with your Summertime Aphrodite. So let them create the power gems, and then use Quack to actually destroy all the gems. And if you wanted to, let's say you just have a couple of them, I would say that, let's see, I'm looking here. So let's say you actually use a couple of Freya, or not even Freya. You can also add a card here. I'm going to change this to Demigod and change this to Water. Another combo that I used to always use was to put Icarus and Quack in together. And so basically what you can do is you can use Icarus's ability to increase the drop rate of water gems, and then use Quack to then destroy all the gems and deal quite a bit of damage because you're going to have a board full of gems. Okay, so these are a couple ideas here. I'm going to play around some more. I'm just, right now I'm just kind of thinking God cards are going to be your best bet in this event. I prefer them over Takumi and Saffron. So I think this would be a good chance, a good option there. And so let me know if this works for you. Now let's go and take a look at Bounty Dungeon before we sign off. So there is Aegis also here for the bosses, but I would say that it's really not that bad because the increase of attack by 100% just doesn't really mean anything different because it already pretty much can one shot you at later levels. And the heal, what I've seen is the heal isn't that bad. And so what I'm going to do is, since I've already collected my my 500 gems, I'm going to use my 2 keys and play around a little bit, and so that way if I don't actually survive, that's okay. What I wanted to do is kind of show you some ideas for decks that you can use. And so the first one I'm going to show you is the team that I use. So this uses most, and I'm going to purposely go after a water boss here. So the one I use, maximizes my my fire bounty hunter, but I did bring in Gladia as a way to do my nuke damage, and because I'm bringing Gladia, I can use other relics to help out as well. So let's take a look here. I specifically picked a water boss because I can't one-shot the boss on turn 1, and I wanted to show sort of some of the other things that this boss will do. One of the things they cast is fear, and so obviously you want to stay away from that. Now the trick here is, if you're going to bring in an ally with for your bounty hunter, I would definitely recommend bringing the same card that you're using already for your ally to boost your damage even more. So that's why for me, bringing in Ray is the way to go. Okay, so let's see here. And so what I'm doing here is I'm just going to do a quick attack here. Normally this would actually one-shot the boss, but you can see it actually doesn't kill it here. And then I have 2 more turns to attack. So at this point, what you want to do is you just want to make sure that you take care of this boss as much as possible. You can see all of these doesn't actually do anything, and even with Gladius, nuke, it doesn't actually kill it. And so now I am going to have to make sure that I can actually match 3 more gems. I just needed to match a total of 5 fire gems before I lose everything. Actually, I think I'm gonna get attacked here. So you can see it does fear, armor, and like I told you, you get 1 shot right here, right? But at least I have a free revive. Let's just go ahead and use this and see if I can maybe take it out with this nuke. I still can't, and but now I have 4 more turns to try and take it out. So let's make this count. So we need to get 5 fire gems, and luckily for me, I have the celestial cards that will actually generate power gems for me at every 4 turns, and so I will be able to now take down the boss using the nuke damage. Now this is because I'm going up against a weak affinity hero, and so obviously you want to make sure you bring in a team that is of the right affinity, but even if you're going up against a weak affinity hero, I think that this still works. So I'm using a team that has most bounty hunters, and you can see that I'm getting about 3 million or so every floor. But if you don't have a good team of bounty hunters, you can use other options as well. One of them I kind of play with is something like this, where you have a Skuka and then you have a Wende who actually can revive for you as well to give you the additional turns so that you don't actually end up wasting gems. And so use this team. Let's see, I just want to make sure I don't this video is going long, so I don't want to take too much of the time here, but give that a try. See if that works for you. But I think the focus is, if you can bring in a nuke card, it will help you tremendously on the Celestial floors. Up until then, all floors 1 to 20, don't worry so much about it. Just bring your strongest team. The trophy count is very low anyway, so just use your strongest team to take it out, and then focus on the Celestial floors, and then focus on getting up to the 500 gems if you're able to. So that's it for this episode. Apologies for it being long. I do want to make sure I cover some of these really new updates, and we're going to go over in more detail once the event starts, and also talk about Legend Trials at the end of this event. So thank you very much for your time, and I'll see you in the next episode. Take care.